What's the worst legal thing you can do? For more infotainment, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get new video updates. Thanks for watching. Permanently destroying huge swaths of land. There's a development corporation in my hometown that has bought up virtually all of the remaining woods, meadows, and wetlands in the area, paved them, and built retail spaces that go vacant just a few months later. Businesses aren't even moving into these office parks, but the group just keeps spreading out and developing. It seems like every month, I drive past another leveled tract of land. How is that even economically viable? Often large corporations get grants and tax exemptions for developing unused land into usable land. Even if that land does not eventually get used, it allows towns to expand and have more potential for property taxes. They sometimes can use the capital losses from the unused land as write-offs to offset tax debt in other areas that are more prosperous. If the land eventually sells, they recoup the money that they already claimed as a loss, but it is not taxable since it is long-term real estate profit. Towns get federal money to help maintain infrastructure that is based on the square mileage of a town. It is the town's advantage to incrementally increase the size of a town every year, so the federal infrastructure money gets incrementally higher in value. You can leak the names, addresses, email addresses, social security numbers, driver's license numbers, and payment card details of nearly half of all Americans, and more than half of all American adults, and then settle for about $5/person. Hold Equifax accountable, yo. Don't forget 3 of their top-level executives sold a significant share of their stock holdings just before the breach was announced to the public. Ask people for credit card details in the street for donations to charity. There's a few different laws in many places you'd hit. Many cities have solicitation ordinances, so you need to be licensed first. Then, you can't claim to be a charity in many jurisdictions without appropriate paperwork, and there are further rules on maintaining that, including how you spend the money. If you meant people who are actually licensed and working for a legitimate charity doing this, then yeah, legal and awful. A parent keeping their kid from the other parent when there's no good reason to, and leveraging the courts to do it. Yaps. My stepson is now 18 and living with us for the last 3 months. His mother screwed him up so badly. She would scream at anyone who would even partly listen that my husband was abusive while offering zero proof. We are trying to slowly build a future for him. Luckily, it's bitten her hard. He wants nothing to do with her at all. Meanwhile, we are pushing him hard to get his own place, and enrolling in college classes. It will take a long time, but at least it's getting better and he can see what a screw-up his mom really is. Thank you for doing this. I work in family law and I see this way too much, and I try my best to reassure my clients that their kids will come around, but my word means not much when they're missing someone so much. I'm glad it worked for you. I worked at a call center. I just put in my 2 weeks because I had so many calls about insulin being denied. All of these members were on time with their insurance. Still couldn't get nor afford it. One of them nearly died from taking Novolog, the only one on the formulary they would allow. He can't take it. It was killing him. And they refused the prior authorizations and appeals to get him the Humalog, or Admelog. One of those two, and he was still so calm. Like he accepted his situation. I would have understood if he yelled and took it out on me this one time. I couldn't do anything. And he just calmly hung up. Fuck all of this. I'm too soft to work in the health business. My recent ex was a part of a MLM. She asked why I was breaking up, and I didn't tell her, but she would continue to say the MLM was not a pyramid scheme, even though it is on every list of MLM that exists. It was painful to watch her money on it and continue to say it is part of starting a business. Edit 1, I didn't break up with her solely based on that, but it was what made me consider breaking up. There was a list of issues. If I had told her any reason, she would have tried to change to stop the breakup. I'm happier now that we broke up, and honestly we had too many disagreements on the future to have a happy relationship. I know I sound like an, but I did everything I could to keep us going, but I knew I should end it as I wasn't happy. Edit 2. I told her when she started, if you begin this we are done. She called my bluff. She knew that was a major part of it. She did have depression, so I worried for her safety if I started telling her reasons. Edit 3. It was Lime Life by Al Cohn. I remember when I was a kid visiting my family in Florida, my aunt was telling me all about the Scientologists and their ways etc. I was amazed and she just goes, "You want to see them?" So she took me on a car ride and showed me their buildings and where the people lived etc. It was just weird and creepy seeing all the buildings. The barbed wired fenced-in areas where people lived. And you could just tell the ones walking around who had been converted because they all wore similar clothes, walking around with this fake creepy smile on their face. Even 15 years later still remember it clear as day. I get it, thank you grammar Nazis for the English lesson. I know exactly what you mean. I live right outside of Clearwater, Florida, where most of the Scientologists are. The church has bought the whole town and all of the buildings are either fake, meaning that they have storefronts in the windows but nothing on the inside, or are recruitment centers. Sue your poor ex-spouse for child custody so repeatedly that you drain their finances and can't fight it anymore. This could describe patent stealing too. Small guy invents something, big guy steals invention, sues inventor into being broke so small guy can't fight Goliath anymore. There's a documentary called The Patent Scam. It's so awful how much of a racket the patent industry is now. Taking out a vague patent for something, then suing someone you claim is violating your patent for $3,000, and if they try to fight back it will cost $10,000. Then hit the victim with a non-disclosure agreement so they can't tell anyone how they were financially raped. Just killing American entrepreneurs. Develop a wonderful loving relationship with someone for a majority of your life. Kids, pets, trust, everything included. One day, tell them all you never loved them, it was all a game you were playing for the last 20 years. Divorce your partner and leave with the stash of cash you've been putting away for the last 20 years, moving to a new country never to see them again. If you don't tell them anything and move, it'll be worse. Make sure you can be found on social media as happy and alive. I read some online confession about a guy who had a meeting in the Twin Towers right when it was hit, but he had skipped the meeting and went out for lunch or something. After the initial shock wore off, he realized his wife and kids probably thought he was dead, and thought about how much he hated his life there. Instead of calling them, he went to Canada and started a new life and never talked to them again, and just disappeared from their life for years and never went back. Could absolutely be, but interesting nonetheless. The act of cannibalism itself is legal in most nations. It's just getting the meat that is usually illegal. Edit. To add to this, I've considered the aspects of cooking human meat a little deeper, and come up with this. You're all very dark, lol. I love it. Human meat is very close to pork. So lightly seasoned and glazed with something sweet like honey, plum sauce, apple sauce, or maple syrup. You would have to cook it very well, and make sure to properly sear it, and cook it relatively quickly as human meat is around 7% fat, so quite lean for red meat. Since human skin is quite thin, you could easily make crackling with it, so that would be something to watch out for. The legs especially would make for good long cooking techniques, with the thighs being good for a quick roast and the calves being better for braising or stewing. The muscles of the back could make good grilling, with the lumbar multifidus being somewhat akin to filet mignon. The arms, in general, would be good for general-purpose meats, along with the abdominals, though, the latter would need to be cooked far longer. The shoulders would be particularly fatty cuts, prime for stewing or braising. As for the gluts, being some of the most used muscles in the body, they would be ideal for barbecue or making jerky with.